Welcome to Grammar 4A. In this booklet, we'll go over progressive form and the present tense, predicate adjective versus the verb, and sentence diagramming with compound direct objects and a shared helping verb. So let's get started with progressive form and the present tense. It's pretty straightforward, but let's read through the beginning explanation together. We have progressive form shows that the action of the verb is, was, or will be in progress. The progressive form uses the simple tenses, past, present, and future of to be as the helping verb and adds an ing to the main verb. So now let's break this down a little bit. So we have the progressive form. This is going to help determine when the action of the verb is occurring. In this booklet, we're going to be focusing on the progressive form and the present tense. So that means that the verb and the action of the verb is progressing right now. It is still occurring and it is happening. To create this progressive form, we are going to use the simple tenses, specifically present tense, of to be. And to use the to be verb, we have to remember that our helping verbs will be is, am, or are, depending on who or what our subject is. Now that's the helping verb. The main verb to make it into the progressive form is going to have an ing added to the end of it. So pretty straightforward, but let's look at a few examples, make sure we're very comfortable with it. So first we have a sentence that is, I drink water. Drink is in the present tense, but we want to put it in present progressive. So to do that, what we do is we add our helping verb and we add the ing. So now our verb is, I am drinking water. Am being appropriate for I as the subject, and ing added to the main verb of drink to create drinking. Now let's look at a couple of other examples with the same format. She is drinking water. She is our subject, therefore is our helping verb because that is the appropriate tense and the appropriate conjugation of to be for she. And then we add the ing to the main verb again, making drink to drinking. And then we have the verb, we are drinking water. Once again, since we have we as our subject, are is the appropriate helping verb, and ing is added to drink to create the progressive form. So pretty straightforward. Like I said, you just have to add the ing. The hard part is making sure you use the correct helping verb. Am, is, or are. Now let's get into the predicate adjective versus the verb. Remember, a predicate adjective is an adjective in the predicate or after the verb that describes the subject, whereas a verb can be the action completed by the subject. So it's the action in the sentence or it's linking. But when you have to determine between a PA and a verb, it should be relatively obvious. So let's get into it and make sure we fully understand it. Our first sentence is, her tuba is big. What's our verb? Is there an action being completed in this sentence by tuba, which is our subject? No. Is our main verb. Is a linking verb, and it's linking tuba to big, making big the predicate adjective, the adjective after the verb that describes the subject. Her big tuba. Her tuba is big. Whereas here in this next sentence, we have Sarah plays a big tuba. Is there a linking verb or an action verb? Is Sarah completing an action in this sentence? Yes, she is playing. What is she playing? She's playing a tuba. Tuba in this instance is a direct object. Since we have an action verb, we have no predicate adjective. So like I said, this is a pretty straightforward example. Let's move on to another example. My grandmother seems happy. What's our verb in this sentence? Do we have an action verb or a linking verb? Well, there's no action being completed, but we do have seems. That is a linking verb. It's not a to be verb, but it can still link the subject to more information and the predicate. And in this instance, grandmother is being linked to happy. Happy being the predicate adjective describing grandmother. So make sure that when you're reading these sentences, you recognize that you won't always have a to be verb as your main verb, but it could still have a predicate adjective. So let's look at one other example that does not include a predicate adjective. The baby happily smiles. The action being completed in this sentence is smiles. Happily, in this instance, is telling you how the baby is smiling, making it an adverb. So just make sure you're watching out, and if you're completely unsure as to what is the predicate adjective, or if there is a predicate adjective, always identify the verb first, and that will help you out a lot. So now we're going to go over a couple of other activities that weren't mentioned at the beginning but will be new to Grammar 4. The first one is called a part of speech activity. So let's look at an example from the book. The directions say, circle the letter of the sentence below that uses the bolded word as a preposition. Let's first work through and read through each of the sentences. And this example and this set of sentences, our word is except. So in the first sentence, we have the class had finished the test except him. We have the teachers accept the class from the test. All of the class was accepting of the results. Now, if you encounter a word that you're not comfortable or familiar with in these books, please look it up in the dictionary. You should be in that kind of frame of mind from Grammar 3 already, but if for some reason you're not, please make friends with your dictionary now. So now let's look back at the examples again. The class had finished the test except him. If you're unsure as to whether this is a preposition or not, start thinking through the other parts of speech. We've got nouns and pronouns, we've got adjectives and adverbs and verbs and interjections and conjunctions, and of course the preposition. So let's just think this through. Is this a person, place, or thing? No, except is not a person, place, or thing in this sentence. Therefore, it's not a noun, nor is it a pronoun. Is it describing a noun or pronoun? No, it's not really describing anything. It's not giving you any description as to who the person is or what that person does. So then we can start thinking through. It's not an interjection. That would be kind of silly in the middle of this sentence, but it is followed by a pronoun. So what is this pronoun doing in this sentence? Well, if you're still unsure, you could just skip this sentence and go to the next one, but I'm just going to give you a little hint. It's an object of the preposition. It's ending that phrase right there, except him. You can still have that sentence make sense. The class had finished the test, and except him is just clarifying. It's a prepositional phrase giving a little bit more information. Him ending the phrase, making it the OP. But let's go ahead and look at the next sentence to see what else we can find out about this word. The teachers accept the class from the test. Now, maybe you've heard of this word, but you've never seen it in this context before. That is 100% fine. This is when you want to bring out that dictionary. And this sentence, accept, is going to be our verb. It is the action being completed by the teachers. They are dismissing the class from the test. They don't have to take the test. They're exempt. They're accepted from the test. So our last sentence, all of the class was accepting of the results. Now, if you're using your handy-dandy dictionary, you will know that this is a nonsense use of the word. That is not appropriate for this word. It's the other similar sounding accepting, A-C-C-E-P-T. So our answer for this is going to be A. The class had finished the test except him. Except in this sentence is a preposition. Now we're going to go over our next activity. But just make sure that when you go through these, that one, you have your dictionary so you understand what the word means, especially if you've never seen it before. And then two, just use process of elimination if you're very unsure. So now our next activity, find the mistake. In this, we want you to circle the letter of the sentence below with an error. So let's just read through each one. We've got a reindeer is a real animal. They are found in a variety of northern habitats. Their knees make clicking noises as they walk, and reindeer's antlers fall off and regrow. So when we go through this activity, what we want to think about is all of the excellent things we have already learned in grammar 1, 2, and 3. We've learned a lot of capitalization, we've learned a lot of spelling and homophones, we've learned a lot about different punctuation and how to use it appropriately. And with that information bubbling up in our head, let's look at these sentences again. A reindeer is a real animal. Well, we've got our capitalization at the beginning of a sentence. We've got our punctuation at the end, and it's an enthusiastic sentence, so an exclamation point is not entirely incorrect. So nothing really looks wrong here. Everything's spelled correctly. So let's go to the next one. They are found in a variety of northern habitats. Once again, we have an ending punctuation mark. We've got capitalization at the beginning. Everything looks to be spelled correctly. If you're unsure, then look it up in the dictionary. And I don't see any other nouns or adjectives that need to be capitalized because there are no proper nouns or proper adjectives. So now let's go to the next sentence. Their knees make clicking noises as they walk. Well, we've got the capitalization, we've got the punctuation, but something looks off with that first word, there. Let's think through, is that the correct there? Remember, there are 3 theirs that are homophones in the English language, probably more, but the 3 that we've gone over so far can get confused easily. So that's in the back of our mind now. Now let's look at the last one just to be sure. Reindeer's antlers fall off and regrow. We've got our capitalization and punctuation, everything spelled correctly, but that apostrophe, maybe that will throw us off a little bit. Do we need an apostrophe there? Is it owning the antlers? Yes. And reindeer is singular and plural. So the apostrophe S is correct either way. So really, with the process of elimination and knowing all of the good things we've learned from grammar 1, 2, and 3, we know that that is the wrong there, and C is our correct answer. That's the sentence that has the error in the sentence. So now that we've had fun with all these new activities, we're going to get into sentence diagramming. We'll start with the compound direct object. Our first sentence is Clarissa holds her keys and purse. Our subject is Clarissa, and Clarissa is completing the action of holding. Holds is our verb. Now, what is being held? The keys and purse. So I'll label those as our direct objects. Her is describing keys and is our coordinating conjunction. So now we can put together our diagram. We start with a straight line. We dissect it by the full line that goes all the way through. It's going to separate our subject and our predicate. We are separating our direct objects from our verb. And since we have 2 direct objects, we need this little triangular formation, and we're going to have our dotted line, so we have a space for our conjunction. And of course, we do have a describing word, so we need to make sure we make a diagonal line for that. So now we can start filling in our words. So Clarissa is our subject, holds is our verb, we've got our compound direct objects, keys and purse, and goes into this little house, and then we have her as our adjective for keys. And there we have our sentence diagram for Clarissa holds her keys and purse. Now we're going to go over sentence diagramming for a shared helping verb. So our sentence is going to be Ben is singing and dancing well. Ben is our subject. The action he is completing, or actions he's completing, is singing and dancing. So we've got a compound main verb, but 1 helping verb. And we're going to get into that, obviously. We've got our conjunction. We're noticing that. And then, of course, we have a lovely adverb that is describing dancing. So let's start with our line. We're going to bisect it. And notice how I make the line quite long. We are going to add in a little house for the 2 main verbs, but we keep that 1 space for the helping verb. And then we have a line coming off for the adverb. So now we can start filling in our words. We have been as our subject, is as our helping verb, singing and dancing. So notice how they go on the 2 different lines, and they are coordinated by this conjunction and then well is describing it. So now we have all of the sentence put together. And we have our sentence diagram completed. If you have any questions over this or any other thing about your Gideon work, please contact your center and they will be sure to help you.